What up YouTube, Topaz Yates back for another review, and this one's to that Lil Pump Harvard Dropout, and I'm giving this one the red light, man, cause this project is trash. I think everybody who came into it was automatically expecting it to be trash, you dig? So with that being said, can we end this video right now? You feel me? Do we really have to go through the motions and break down the fact that he just doesn't have the skill set necessary to be a good rapper? Point blank period, he's not very lyrical. He selects super dry production that does him absolutely no favors, and that's like the bulk load of this project. Like if you listen to songs like Multi-Millionaire with Lil Uzi Vert, then you all but heard the vast majority of this project because it has no substance, it has no lyrical content, it has terrible production, hook not very good at all, like overall just a super flawed production, and that's the vast majority of this project. Looking at songs like Stripper Name, that Nah, that Off-White, that For Sure, like a lot of projects just fit that whole mold where there's absolutely nothing to be grasped from it. I mean, not even like catchy entertainment. To be real with you, man, the only interesting things about this album is actually the things that happened to bring this album to us. For those of you who don't know, this album was one that was somewhat lost because after Lil Pump dropped his first album, I do believe, he was able to void out his record deal because he signed when he was a minor, and then he's still buzzing and all of that stuff, like people still want to hear stuff from him. So therefore he was able to negotiate a whole new deal and got an extra $8 million off top of it. And I mean, that's very smart. Played the game the way it needed to be played. But that doesn't mean he's a good MC or this project was going to be any good at all. It just shows you that he was notable and he played these individuals the way he needed to play them. The next interesting thing is how people were trying to say that he was actually a Harvard dropout. And you had to be slow to believe that, to be real with you. And you know, there was a rumor going around that he's going to do the commencement speech for Harvard and such, and that's in May 30th, but yet Harvard hasn't came out to confirm any of this, which I sincerely don't believe it at all, but stranger things have happened. But when you go into his background, you realize that he got expelled, him and Smoke Pop, because they came up together pretty much. They've been expelled from school after school, you dig? So there was no chance he would ever make it to Harvard, to ever be a dropout. It's just a title of the song where there's no core concept to the entire album. But yet, the things that's being said on this project is what upsets me maybe the most, because he's going through and trying to make it seem like it's a cool thing to drop out of school, even though he says specifically, hey, stay in school and all that, man. But yet, when he got songs like Drug Addicts, where he's talking about actually just being a drug addict and just taking all of these drugs and saying it like it's the cool thing to do. You feel me? The negative stereotypes and the messages that he's sending in all of his songs and stuff, man, it's not something that I can sit up and stand by. See, here's the thing about hip-hop, man. Hip-hop has always been about the counterculture to mainstream. But yet there's always been positive reinforcement. You feel me? Trying to give people the right tools in order to succeed, to see life as it really is. But yet it's artists like Lil Pump that this music industry continues to kick out, that shows you, okay, they could care less about the youth. They could care less about individuals growing to be successful and helping out communities and stuff, man. They just in it because they popular and they just trying to get some money and forget if like what they're saying is going to lead to other people doing much worse. They don't care anything about that. Now, the one positive thing that I will say about this project would be that you can tell he's becoming more confident in his delivery. Like, he's actually getting a little better. It's not a massive jump from the Lil Pump album that came out before this and this one. It's not a huge improvement, but yet you can hear that within these years of him still rapping, he's actually being able to say things more entertainingly than what he did before in the past. He's not as remedial on this one as he was before. But still, his messages are super remedial, like especially when these quote-unquote bars that he's trying to give out. Like how he's saying that I was selling crack before I learned how to read. That could go one or two ways. Either you were selling crack as a little kid, or you were selling crack at an older age and you just never learned how to read, and that's what I'm going for. Because kids learn how to read by first, second grade? But let's go ahead and break down some of these songs, man. Looking at that song, Butterfly Doors. Well, the song is trash, but you know, there was a lot of backlash from this one for everybody who have seen it on how Chinese rappers perceived it as racism because Lil Pump is pretty much saying stereotypical things on how his eyes are slanted because he's high, or he's like Yao Ming and all of this stuff, dude. And you know, it is what it is, but yet I knew to take that with a grain of salt simply because there's a lot of racism within Asian communities, you dig? And these same rappers that was dissing Lil Pump about it when they was asked about saying the N-word and all of this stuff, they didn't see anything wrong with that. And that's another issue that I have with this whole Lil Pump album here, because he's saying the N-word like he's black. He's not black. He says specifically both of his parents are from Colombia, so that makes him Colombian, doesn't it? Really, the only song that I thought was kind of decent was that Too Much Ice with Quavo on it, because I like the production, I like the energy that's delivered here, as it got that Migos-like feel to it right there, obviously with Quavo up on it, you dig? And I mean, Lil Pump didn't ruin it, so it did somewhat work. As the only interesting bar, I would say, came from Quavo when he said that the rims are still spinning like Taz, the Tasmanian devil from the cartoon and all that, and how he always would spin, saying that's what his rims, and that was pretty cool, but nothing amazing. A song I feel as though I should touch on was that Be Like Me with Lil Wayne, with that did come with a music video, where the music video was influenced by Eminem's The Real Slim Shady and all of that stuff. As I felt the song was rather interesting because it was one of the few that they're actually talking about something where he's all but trying to say that he's been setting the trend and how all these other people out here want to be like Lil Pump. Well, I don't see it. I mean, what this whole style is that all of the newcomers and all of that stuff have been looking like and dressing like and sounding like, it's difficult to trace it back to its origins. But yet, I'm not going to say that it was from Lil Pump though. As Lil Wayne did have maybe the best moment off this entire album when he's saying something as minor as, you know, my pockets are so stuffy they need an antihistamine. That was cool. By far the best lyricism off this album, but the bar was set so low. How could that not be the best bar? Overall, a very uninteresting project, man, as they're not saying anything to production that isn't any good. It lacks catchiness, it lacks substance, it lacks overall quality, man. Say, terrible project, but I wouldn't say it's the worst project so far this year, but it's kinda close. You dig? I'll give this one a 2 out of 10. One that you should go ahead and skip past. Is really not that important of a project. I hope you enjoyed the show. You can follow me at Twitter up there. And you can go to downloadpass.com, that's down there, to read today's article.